Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. So it feels like it's been a minute since I've done any Allpowers power station reviews, and they actually reached out to me and asked if I'd like to review their R1500 Lite. So this is the R1500 Lite, and you might be wondering, well, where's the unboxing? Well, I decided for this one I wasn't going to do an unboxing because when I opened the box it was literally just a piece of foam with the manual on top and one power cable. So not only did Allpowers send out the R1500 Lite, they've also sent me their SPO33 200 watt foldable solar panel. We'll get this out as well and have a wee test with the R1500 Lite. So what makes the R1500 the Lite version? Well, it's basically 10% lighter than the R1500. The R1500 is roughly around about 16.6 kilograms. The R1500 Lite is 15 kilograms. Same dimensions, same size, but lighter. I don't know what you're thinking, it just looks exactly like the R1500, and it actually does. To the point, it's actually the same dimensions and the same size as the R1500, same ports, but there are a few key differences, so let's get to them. So for the features, I'm going to cover everything on the R1500 Lite first, and then we'll get into a comparison with the R1500 Lite and the R1500. Comes with a 1056 watt hour LiFePO4 battery with an AC input charge of 1200 watts and an AC output of 1600 watts that does surge up to 3200 watts. You can use solar up to 650 watts. You can fast charge it from 0 to 80% in 45 minutes or a full charge from 0 to 100 in 1.5 hours. And the good thing as well, it's also got a low decibel rating of 35 decibels. It's got a UPS uninterrupted power source of 15 milliseconds. And as I said at the start, the weight of it is 15 kilograms. And the good thing is it still retains these handles, which are moulded into the power station, so it's nice and easy to grip it. So first up, you've got your DC output with two USB-A 18 watt USB ports. Below it, you've got two USB-C 100 watt ports. And then on the right hand side, you've got your 12 volt 10 amp cigarette lighter socket. And below that, you've got four AC outputs at 240 volt 1600 watts. And one of the things that I do love about the Allpowers power stations is I've got these rubber dust proof, splash proof protectors, and basically it's across every single one of them. And then in the middle you've got the LCD panel. Again, it's just the same as R1500. And then on the left hand side you've got this little flap that's got the AC charging port, your AC overload protection, and your XT60 solar and car charging up to 13 amps. So I'll just show you. So you press it in and then you can see the XT60 there. But there is one thing I've noticed the R1500 Lite doesn't have. On the other side you'll see it's just blank. This is where the expansion port would be to plug in external batteries. So if you were happy with your power station, then you could get the Allpowers expansion batteries to increase the power, but on the R1500 Lite you don't have that. So on the R1500 you've basically got two different ports for wireless charging. The R1500 Lite hasn't got one. Doesn't really bother me if it doesn't have that, and again, somewhere I can put my laptop. And as I said, the LCD screen is just the same, so you hold it to turn it on. And as you can see, we've got the percentage, we've got the input, we've got the output, and how many hours, or in this case it's 7 days. The R1500 Lite also comes with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and to get it on you just press and hold DC output. And then you can see the wee symbols up there. So when you turn the DC output on, you'll see these two symbols. You've got one that looks like kind of like a USB stick, and the other one is a 12 volt cigarette socket. And then if you turn the AC on, you'll see you get a wee plug socket at the top. So let's look at the app. So if you go on Apple, there is quite a few of them, but this is the one that I was using, Allpowers 2, and you want to make sure the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi signal are on. I normally use Bluetooth in the van because I'm always away, so I'm not going to bother with Wi-Fi, but you can obviously go for that connection there, so let's go with Bluetooth. And you can see the R1500 Lite is just popped up, so let's click it. So at the top, you've basically got all the information that you've got on the panel, your percentage, days left, and you've got your input, output. So let's plug the phone in and get a bit of charge so we can monitor it on the LCD and on the app. You can see we're getting 10 watts, 10 watts. So you can view it on here and you can view it on there. And it's the same with input as well when charging it from solar or at the wall. And the good thing below that is you can see it's got the AC and DC. So the DC shows everything that it's going to get powered on, and you can do it all from this button. You can hear it's just turned it off. You can turn it on, and the AC as well. You can see it's just instant. And below that you've got hertz. Top right, we've got the settings page, so you've got work mode, which basically stands for the charging mode. So you've got mute, standard and fast mode. So mute mode will be the slowest charging, but the fans won't kick on, and fast mode is the 1.5 hours charging, but the fans will kick on to cool it down. Then you've got eco mode. If for instance you left your ALLPOWERS on, after a certain designated time, the machine will just turn off because it doesn't detect it charging anything or taking a charge. And then below that you've got firmware upgrades. So I would advise when you get your unit, always do a firmware upgrade at the start, and that just means that everything's going to be working correctly and you'll avoid any issues further down the line. But that's it. I mean, it's very bare bones. All your devices will be listed in here, so you can keep easy track of them. So let's go into the stuff that matters, real usage, and we're going to start with a bit of gaming. So let's try the Switch 2 first. So there's roughly about 85% in the Switch, so let's get it plugged in. So we're pulling 11-12 watts just now, and it's currently saying 2 days, so let's crack a game open and see what it's like. If you look up at the top right there, we're pulling 15 watts, so if the Switch is your console, you're going to get roughly 2 days with our R1500 Lite, which is pretty decent for a weekend. So as you guys know, I do love gaming in Dobby. I know I've showcased the PS5 in a couple of videos, but I haven't been using my Xbox. I've just plugged the setup in. The numbers that I'm seeing on this power station, I'm starting to think that maybe the PS5 for van gaming is not the way to go. Check this. And there you go, there's a setup. So because we've lost the wireless charging, you can easily put your Xbox Series S up there now. But look at this, so we're on the home screen. Look how many watts it's pulling. 33, 34 watts. So for comparison, the new PlayStation Digital was sitting roughly about 90 watts. So we're already saving 57 watts with the Series S. And just to note as well, I don't have all the games on Xbox that I do on my PlayStation, but just keep an eye on the wattage. So we're at 52 watts, but on the PlayStation 5 we were drawing roughly about 190 watts just to run Grand Theft Auto 5. So this is the enhanced edition. As you can see, we've got 60 FPS. So this is the exact same Grand Theft Auto on the PlayStation 5, and we're only taking 72 watts. Let's get to the busiest part of the map. We've got 3 stars on us. We are only at 77, 78 watts. So at peak we're at 80 watts, we're 100 less than the PlayStation 5. So we're 77 watts just now. The highest we went to was 80 watts. So if Grand Theft Auto Online is your game, you're going to get roughly about 9 hours, 9 to 10 hours of game time, which is crazy. So F124, we're pulling 65 watts just now. So we're up at 78 watts, so roughly the same as Grand Theft Auto. We're taking roughly about 80 watts max on F124, well, no better. So I don't have Cyberpunk to do a test with that, but as you saw, that was roughly like 225 watts. But let's try this game that I absolutely love, Division. But as you can see, nice 60 FPS smoothness. Let's matchmake and go into a mission. 76 watts we're at, so I barely even put it under any strain. So if Division 1's your game, you're going to get roughly 9-10 hours. Again, it seems to be capping at roughly about 80 watts per game. No stuttering, there's no lagging. This is online only, so I'm actually just streaming this from my phone. And if you remember, the PlayStation 5 was taking roughly about 150 to 180 watts just to run Division 1. We're only taking 71, max 80 watts. So again, roughly 100 watts less than the PlayStation 5. Look at those numbers. And I'm not getting into an argument how, oh, but it's no 4K and it's upscaled and it's this and it's that and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I can play 1080, 60 FPS on an Xbox Series S for under 100 watts per game. Series S for the win. You're still getting to play next gen titles and it's taking less power. But do you know what's got me thinking? How many watts is it going to take using Game Pass? Because technically it's streaming, it's not using the hardware of the console. So let's try Ori. So the max wattage we were getting on a game was 80 watts. So let's see what streaming does. It is a wee bit pixelated, but again, we are running it from my phone. But streaming is all going to depend on your internet connection. But as you can see, we're able to run this fine. And we're only taking 47 watts. Let's try a more demanding game. Now let's see how this goes. Oh, very laggy. I need to change the up down as well. I need to change my aim. It's too laggy, we're not even going to try it. But We're only taking 47 watts, so that's a bonus. So there you have it. So if you've got a decent router in your van, like Starlink, or even just a mobile hotspot thing, you're only taking like 45 watts. The R1500 Lite's got you covered. We've just tested 3 games on the Series S, and the max output has roughly been about 80 watts. Allpowers sent us the SPO33 solar panel, which is a 200 watt solar panel. Most solar panels are good for about 80% of their capacity. There's always variables when it comes to solar panels. You've got perfect sun conditions, you've got the perfect angle, the perfect position, the perfect material used for the solar panels in themselves. So let's play devil's advocate and say we get 180 watts from the SPO33 Allpower solar panel. You could basically set the solar panel up outside, plug into the Allpowers. You would basically be charging the power station as you're gaming, because as we saw, we're only taking 80 watts to run the Series S. On any of these games, you'd probably be getting 90 to 100 watts return on the solar panel if you were gaming with the Series S. So I did get a wee bit of gaming in, but I'm now starting to get a wee bit hungry, so let's see how the R1500 Lite handles my air fryer. And do you know what? I'm just going to leave the Xbox set up as well, so we'll just go straight in. Just go straight into the AC. I was going to have a bagel and cheese, but the cheese is just a crumpled mess, so we'll just go with the bagel. So we'll go 2 minutes at 180. Go for 3 minutes. So the R1500 Lite has just tripped, and it's because it's only 1600 watts. My air fryer's rated at 1700 watts. Let's try it again without the Xbox turned on. Let's just unplug the Xbox and let's run it back. It's just going to continue cooking from where it left off. So this is rated for 1600 watts. And we're getting 1673 just now with the air fryer, and as you can hear, the fans have already kicked on. And remember, when the air fryer gets to temperature, it's going to cut the power off, and then it'll cut back in to get it to temperature again. But so far it's working without the Xbox plugged in. So you can see the air fryer's at temperature, and it's now went down to 20 watts. So let's see if it kicks in before the 1 minute's up. No, that's it. We managed to get the 3 minutes. Let's see how the bagels look. Oh aye, perfectly toasted. So this is just a dry bagel, but it was more just a test to see if it would work. But aye, it worked. So the Allpowers R1500 Lite did run my air fryer, which is a 1700 watt air fryer, compared to the output power of 1600 watts. So there you have it. For gaming and making a meal in an air fryer, the R1500 Lite is going to cover you. So one test that I've not tried, which I always do with power stations, but given the R1500 Lite is the exact same as the R1500, I don't really see any point in testing a diesel heater, because as we saw with the R1500, it didn't run it. So the fact that it's still 12 volt 10 amps, I don't think it's going to be able to run a diesel heater. So I have already reviewed this in other videos, but we'll quickly go over it again. So you do have these nice clasps to keep the solar panel closed. We've got the usual kickstands, and there's 4 of them on each panel. And at the bottom, we've got the wee pouch that will basically have the MC4 cables. Oh, that's actually a dual cable. So it's got a barrel connection as well as XT60. That's pretty good. The adapters as well for the barrel connection. So no matter what power station you've got or what you use the solar panel with, you're going to be covered. Lastly, we've got a wee manual. All you need to do is just unhook it here and then open it up. And again, this solar panel is a 4-panelled solar panel. Just open the kickstands. This time round I've gave us an XT60 and a barrel connection, and it's basically like a dual cable. So we'll put these into the solar panel first. So red to red, black to black. And then in the side, we take the XT60 and go straight in, like that. So the max we got there was 100. There is a wee bit of cloud cover, but just now we're getting a solid 79. Now again, obviously if I move the solar panels to a different angle, maybe a wee bit flatter, we might get more wattage, but just now we're getting a steady 79, 80. But I'm liking the fact that they're giving us a dual cable. If you buy the solar panel and you don't have the XT60, you can still go in with the barrel connection. So let's get to the nitty gritty and see the comparisons of the R1500 Lite and the R1500. So what I've done is I've broke down all the features that I think are important between the both. So for watt hours, the R1500 Lite is 1056 watt hours versus the R1500's 1152 watt hours. Both have LiPo4 batteries. The AC input is 1200 watt max on the R1500 Lite versus 1500 watts on the R1500. The AC output is rated at 1600 watts versus the R1500's 1800 watts, but both of them do surge up to 3200 watts. They both have the same solar input at 650 watts, and they both fast charge at 0 to 100% in 1.5 hours, and both of them support fast charging 0 to 80% in 45 minutes. Quiet mode, the R1500 Lite is 35 decibels versus the R1500's 45 decibels, and both have a UPS time of 15 milliseconds. When it comes to wireless charging, the R1500 Lite doesn't have it, whereas the R1500 does. When it comes to weight, the R1500 Lite is 33.7 pounds or 15 kilograms, whereas the R1500 is 36.8 pounds or 16.6 kilograms. And the last feature is expandability, so adding expansion batteries. The R1500 Lite doesn't support it, whereas the R1500 does. So when you look at that comparison chart, you can see the R1500 is just more powerful with 100 more watt hours, and then you've obviously got the expansion port to add more batteries, whereas the R1500 Lite can't do that. But I'll cover that in my final thoughts. So the first Pro, the weight, it is 15 kilograms, but I mean it's still lighter than the other one. It's still got a big battery capacity at 1056 watt hours. It does do fast charging, 80% in 45 minutes, or a full charge at 1.5 hours. But for me, that's where the pros finish, so let's go into the cons. The R1500 has 2 wireless charging ports at the top of it. The R1500 Lite doesn't have any. It doesn't even have one. I'm not too fussed about wireless charging, but I know some people are. And the only other con I've got with this unit is, with that 10% weight reduction, we lost around about 100 watt hours, which is fine. But the con for me is we also lost the battery expansion as well, so we can't add any Allpowers expansion batteries, which is fine because a lot of power stations don't have expansion ports and stuff, but one of the selling features for Allpowers is they did have the expansion ports on the R1500. So if you were happy with your power station, you could basically just buy the expanded batteries and then they would go in the side here, but the R1500 Lite doesn't have that. So what's my final thoughts on the R1500 Lite? Should you get this or should you get the R1500? For me, I think it comes down to a couple of things. What you're going to use it for, do you need expansion on a power station? And would a lighter power station suit your needs better? So if you look back at the comparisons chart, it does look like the R1500 Lite is losing a lot of features that the R1500's got. But again, I think you need to look at it differently. If you already have a leisure battery set up and you just want an extra bit of power for other devices that you want to take the load off your leisure battery system, or if you only go away in the weekends with your camper and it's not a permanent setup and you just want, you know, a bit of power to charge some laptops, iPads, iPhones and stuff, then that's fine. You can just charge it up and away you go. And again, you've got all the features that the R1500's got with LCD display, you've got all the ports, you've got all the AC ports as well. So I would say that's where the R1500 Lite fits in. However, with the R1500, you do have the option to expand the capacity. The R1500 does have a bigger output capacity at 1800 watts compared to the 1600 watts with the R1500 Lite. But in the grand scheme of things, the both of them do the exact same job. And don't forget, because this is 10% lighter, it is also cheaper as well. So guys, if you do want to go and pick up the R1500 Lite, I'll leave a link to it in the description, and I'll also leave a link for the R1500 as well if you fancy that more than the R1500 Lite. And if you do want to pick any of them up, I've got this discount code RobnDob which will give you 10% off, so just apply this at checkout and you'll get a nice wee 10% off it. So guys, that's going to cover it for this episode. If you did go and enjoy it, why not drop it a wee like and let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, why not get subscribed and hit that bell notification so you're always notified when I drop a new video. So until the next one guys, peace.